What is up, guys? So we just got back from bodymeasure.ca, and they did my resting metabolic rate test as well as a Dexa scan. So first time for both. I've worked with some metabolic testing when I volunteered at the U of M in their lab, but to actually do a test yourself, interesting experience. It's hard to breathe relaxed with something in your mouth and your nose plugged for 10 minutes. Not used to that. Not used to having a phone in my hand, a screen, for 10 minutes. I was almost bored. But anyways, so that's the first thing we'll go over. Resting metabolic rate test. And the way we had to prepare for that was no food, no caffeine, and no vigorous exercise 4 hours before. So I just didn't eat breakfast. I didn't eat anything. Didn't have my coffee this morning, and I didn't do my workout. I've since done all of those things, but I did not do that before the test. Go into their place, they lay you down, they put the tube in your mouth, plug your nose, you breathe for 10 minutes, test goes off, prints your results out, and what do you think my resting metabolic rate is? Interesting to know that I've always estimated someone's resting metabolic rate if they're within a healthy BMR, or it's not BMR, if they're within a healthy body fat percent, I would estimate them to be about 10 times their body weight is their resting metabolic rate. That's just a generalization. But anyways, so my resting metabolic rate, 1,843 calories, so 1,843 calories to stay the same weight if I did not move. As soon as you get out of bed, as soon as you start moving around, that costs energy. Their software estimates that for me to get around and move all day, that costs me about 552 calories. So without exercise, I would need to consume 2,400 calories a day to stay the same. On top of that, I tend to exercise 5-6 days a week for 1 to 2 hours a day. So you can add that on there, and that puts me at 3,150 calories a day to stay the same weight. I don't eat that much. I tend to eat about 2,000 to 2,500 calories a day, with occasional really high days where I just kind of eat whatever. We're talking off season, we're not dieting here. So that's where that sits. In terms of my metabolism, my metabolic health, puts me right at normal. So I don't have a slow metabolism, I don't have a high metabolism. I'm just normal. I'm a normal guy. Yeah, so that's pretty good to know. I am going to set my Macros Plus app at probably 3,000 calories a day and go from there, track my progress, and go back in 3 to 6 months and see what my scan shows once I've done some good training, and see my strength go up and all that kind of stuff. So let's move on to the Dexa scan here. That test you don't have to prepare for. You just can't eat a big meal beforehand, or else that will show up on the scan as lean body mass, as tissue. So there's 3 pictures on the front. One is your skeleton, so your skeletal mass, I guess. The second is your muscle mass and your fat mass and your bone mass, so it kind of shows you what is what. And then the third is just your tissue, so it shows where your lungs are, can show some of where your organs are, kind of just how your tissue is distributed throughout your body. And then there's a bunch of measurements, percentages of fat, muscle, and bone for each limb and each part of your body. So it goes into quite a lot of depth. Interesting to know that I have 0.7 pounds of visceral fat. So you want to be under a pound. So that's good. That's the fat that's behind your abs, so underneath your abs. So I'm within a healthy range there. It's probably a little higher than it was 2 months ago into the prep, but probably gained a little bit back. Also, I'm pear-shaped, so I store more of my fat, I guess, around my hips and my butt, and less around my waist. So that's interesting to know. And my total body fat percentage was 14.5. So 14.5%, I think that's a healthy percentage to maintain, especially for a 34-year-old father of soon to be 3 and a business owner. It's something I can maintain. And when I stick to my now maintenance calories, it might go up a little bit, but I also expect my strength to come back. So that's very good to know. And like I said, we'll go back in 3 to 6 months and we'll test it again and see. So let's look at lean mass, fat mass, and bone mass and what each was. So I have 151.4 pounds of lean mass. So of my 182 pounds, 82% is lean mass. 26.9 pounds is fat mass, so 15.1%. That's not taking into account my bone mass, so that's why it's a little higher than my body fat percent. And then the most interesting thing that I learned today is that I have really dense bones. So I'm off the chart, way at the top. So that's me at the top there with bones, mineral density of 1.554 grams per centimeter squared, and I'm in the 133rd percentile. So not many people are gonna have bones as thick as I do, probably because I took up weightlifting at 15 years old, and I've maybe taken a week off, 2 weeks off in the entire 20 years. And most of that time I was eating high protein, high calorie diet, focusing on strength. So I don't have to worry about osteoporosis. I've never broken a bone. That's probably why. Other things here, so they can give you a calorie breakdown once they punch your metabolic rate into the Dexa. They even give you some macros. I think their calorie macros are a little skewed in that they're suggesting I consume 317 grams of protein. I generally don't consume much more than 200 grams, and I don't intend to. At about $2 for every 30 grams of protein. I don't have $20 a day to spend on protein. It's just not going to happen. But yeah, 2,500 calories for weight loss and 3,179 calories for maintenance. If I want to gain, which I might want to try soon, I haven't done that in a long time, 3,815 calories to gain muscle mass. It's probably why I haven't been making any gains, because I don't eat 4,000 calories a day. I have a hard time eating anything more than 2,500, just because I've been prepping for the last 5 years, right? Last thing here, muscle bone index. So again, I'm not at any risk of sarcopenia, so I'm gonna have an advantage when I enter late adulthood. I'll be entering late adulthood, 60-year-old, 70-year-old phase of my life with a very large amount of bone mass. Puts me at an advantage to not lose as quickly and also to not break it as easily. Other things here, they compare all of your limbs to each other and then the size of your body to each other. My right side has 2.7 more pounds of muscle mass than my left side. I know that because my right leg and right shoulder are both substantially larger than my left side. So interesting to know. And then there's a bunch of descriptions and definitions and stuff here. All interesting, all great information to know, so I suggest you go check it out. Last thing here, when I return, they'll give me a printout that compares last scan to this scan. So I'll have a running file, and they'll compare my scans and my metabolic rate tests. Kyla as well had a different thing done where she had a 360-degree image taken of her body, and she is full term, 37 weeks pregnant, and we will get another picture of her probably after she's delivered, and then another once she's kind of hit a maintenance body she likes, and then maybe another when she's back to competing, because she would like to step on the bodybuilding stage again relatively soon, so probably in the next 2 years. So any questions about this stuff, shoot me a message, let me know. I can explain anything you don't understand, but go check them out. Body Measure, bodymeasure.ca, opening next week. Here's your sneak peek, and thanks. Hope you guys enjoyed the video.